So I'll send that out afterwards, the recording. Welcome everybody to LinkedIn Hot Seat event for December. We're a smaller group, so that's exciting because I can spend a bit more time with you and answer any specific questions you have. You're always free, of course, not to share and just to listen and just to learn, and that's always welcome and perfectly fine. So I have, like I said, a little presentation which I will share. And then after that, I will get to as many LinkedIn profiles as we have to talk about. And yeah, we'll have some learning. And feel free to stop me at any point if you have questions. Let me share my screen and hit present for you. Oops, somebody else just popped into the waiting room. Jen. Jen connect to her audio there. Hi, Jen, welcome. We're just getting started here. I'm going to do a quick presentation. There we go. You should be able to see my screen. Everybody see it? Good. Okay. And then if you want to pop your LinkedIn profile into the chat, I'm happy to take a look at it. If you just want to listen, that's always fine and good. Okay, so a little bit about my story with LinkedIn. I always got my I'm a ghostwriter. I write books for people, business books mainly. And I always got my clients through referrals or through in-person networking. So when the pandemic hit, I said, okay, I got to figure out a new plan. So I moved pretty much all of my networking onto LinkedIn. And through doing that over the last, 2-3 years, I've kind of created a little system for myself that I think can work for a lot of people who have similar service-based businesses and are looking to meet similar people and connect with people on LinkedIn. So that's what I share with my clients. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about high level stuff, things to think about with LinkedIn. And then if you want to share your profiles, like I said, I'm happy to look at as many as I can and give you specific advice there. Okay, so first thing to ask yourself with LinkedIn is what's your goal? It's really important to recognize that LinkedIn has their own goals for why they want us on the platform and what we're doing there. And those goals might not align with your own personal goals for how you're using LinkedIn. So I think, we get these dopamine hits from social media. It feels really good to see those impression numbers, right? The number of people who have looked at your posts going up and up and up. But our impressions really align with your goal. If your goal is to meet people in a certain field on LinkedIn or to connect with possible referral partners for you, that kind of thing, the number of people looking at any individual post doesn't really do anything for you, right? But LinkedIn likes you to see that number because what LinkedIn wants is for you to stay on LinkedIn, right, as much as possible. So it gives you those dopamine hits. Sorry, the sun is right in my camera. I'll try to fix it. Maybe if I lift it up. Yes, so think about your goal for LinkedIn, what you're trying to do, and then what metrics will help you reach that goal. Oh, that didn't help at all. Higher. This is a very sunny room at this time of day. Okay, there we go. So for me, one of my big goals is to start conversations on LinkedIn. So what that means is I really want to be watching the comments on my posts. The number of comments I'm getting, the types of comments I'm getting, those matter much more to me than the number of people just viewing the post. And impression numbers, for your information, that means somebody dwelled on your post for 3 seconds. So what are they getting out of your post in 3 seconds? Right? They might be just reading the headline. They might be reading the headline and then scrolling a bit and reading some of the comments, right? So that's just something to keep in mind for what those numbers, what they're showing you, what that means. I like to have a sort of 80-20 split. So I'm spending 80% of my time with posts that are about awareness and engagement, trying to increase my audience size, trying to get people excited, again, starting those conversations. And then I'll do 20% promotion. We are selling things. Everyone knows we're selling things. And it's fine to remind people that you have things for sale. But there are people who get on LinkedIn and sort of use it like a billboard. Every post is promotional. Every post is go buy my program, or in my program I do X and Y. And I find that a little bit off-putting myself. And I think, if your goal again is to start conversations, having very salesy content is just not going to make that happen. But adding value, talking to people, trying to, get them talking with each other, that's something that can certainly be done on LinkedIn. Next thing, metrics to watch. So I track my metrics weekly. Your numbers, and I'll show you my dashboard on LinkedIn in a second so you can get a visual for this. Your numbers change, they're updated weekly through LinkedIn. So it actually updates on the day of the week that you joined LinkedIn. You don't need to know what day of the week you joined LinkedIn. You just need to check those numbers on the same day every week, and then you'll be sure to get good numbers.
Is that only if you have the upgrade, the paid version, or there's metrics always?
Nope, there's a dashboard for everyone. I have the free version of LinkedIn. I haven't seen a good reason to do Sales Navigator myself, but you can see more metrics, I think, if you have Sales Navigator. There's more information there. Like, for example, it will tell you who is looking at your profile, not just how many people have viewed your profile. Good question. Yeah, so these are the metrics that I pay attention to personally. I watch my follower and connection number. I like to set a goal for myself. This month I want to get 30 new connections or something like that. And then I'll just say, okay, if I'm going to spend 5 days a week on LinkedIn, then I could divide the number and, figure out how many people I need to be connecting with each day to get to the number I'm trying to get to for the month. So I do recommend setting that kind of goal. I always tell my clients, whenever you're on LinkedIn, try to connect with 5 to 10 people, and that'll help your number grow quickly. And so audience number is one of the biggest factors for getting more impressions, getting more people to see your posts and to comment on them. So that's one thing I watch closely. And then I watch profile views, how many people just go to my profile, find me, that kind of thing. I watch those numbers. I like to see them going up, of course. And then search appearance numbers means the number of people who type into the search box on LinkedIn for your industry or your job title, right? Your expertise title, your name, right? However they find you through search, that's the number that it'll show you for that, how many people are finding you that way. And then like I said, I like to watch my comments. I like to see comments at least above 10, 12. It's a good number for me, kind of like on an average number of comments. When a post is doing really well, I'm getting like 50 comments. And that, by the way, includes the comments I'm adding. So I'm responding to everyone who comments on my post as much as possible, as much as makes sense. If somebody just says, great post, I'm not going to write like a book in a response to them. And then I watch reactions, of course. Again, that's one of those, a little bit of a vanity metric. It's not something that you necessarily need to watch very closely, but it gives you an idea of how well the content is doing. And that's, for me, more important than, ooh, look how many reactions this thing gets. It can give you a really nice gauge of what content your audience wants to see, wants to hear. So I try to track that pretty carefully. Yeah, so impression numbers is not on the list. That would be at the bottom of the list. I had a client I think they got the most impressions they'd ever gotten. It was 16,000 or something. So they had a post that did very well last week, but in my mind, it only had, I don't know, 5, 6 comments. And I'm like, yeah, but we're trying to start conversations. It's great to see that post did well, but you have to ask yourself what that means, right? Because you can find a formula for writing posts where the algorithm is going to show it to more people and it's going to get a lot more impressions, but are those your target audience? And if people aren't commenting, they're just looking at the post, right? That's a really pretty good indication that it may not be going to your target audience. It might be a little bit off brand. Like, I think her post was a little bit off brand. It was more about general leadership rather than she's a strategic communications company firm. It wasn't as much about that specific area where we would really like to be hitting the numbers that we'd like to be hitting those impressions with her audience, not just the general audience in LinkedIn. So something to keep in mind. Questions there? Let me pause.
No questions, but it's helpful to think about it like this.
Good. I'm glad.
I have one question.
Yes.
So when you're checking on this, do you engage in LinkedIn? I think the answer is maybe like as yourself or as your company.
Yeah, that's a good question. So company page versus personal page is a really good question. So I engage as myself. I do have a company page. The main reason I have a company page is so that when you go down to my experience, you see my logo. So without a company page, you just see their little gray box thing. But I never use my company page personally. I've set it up. I don't think I've even set up the full profile. I don't post there. So I'm always posting on personal side. And in general, for small businesses, that's going to be your best bet. But that isn't to say, like, we're trying out a company strategy with one of our clients right now. But we're really just repurposing content for the company page. So we're taking stuff we've posted previously on the personal page and moving it there, and trying to see if we can generate some conversations there. I think company pages work best when you have employees who are on LinkedIn who can go and comment on the stuff that's happening, and kind of, you can draw more people there that way. But if you're, a solopreneur or you're really small business and don't have a bunch of employees, I think it's less helpful. That's partly because of LinkedIn's algorithm and how it works, but also because I think people really want to be engaging personally with people, even in the business world these days. Yeah. So here's my profile. You can see, here's the number of followers. You can check that on your own page. To see your exact number of connections, you have to go to network. And there it'll give you the number of connections you have. Difference between connection and followers, if you don't know, followers means they can see your content, but you can't see theirs. So connection is a two-way street. If you're connected with somebody, you can see their content, they can see yours. So whenever I'm reaching out, and it's certainly somebody in my ideal audience, but most of the time, or everybody I'm trying to reach on LinkedIn, I'm connecting with them rather than just following them, because I want them to see my content. That's the main goal, right? I'm trying to start conversations. I'm trying to get people into my universe. So it doesn't do me any good, really, to follow people. But I will follow people if they're sort of outside of what I'm trying to do, but I think they have kind of interesting content, or I want to learn from them. I might follow them. But for the most part, I do connection, and it's fine. It's just usually like an extra couple of clicks to get to connections rather than followers. People won't be offended. It's fine. The reason follower is the default is probably because they have creator mode turned on, like I do. When you have creator mode turned on, you get some hashtags to use. If you have creator mode turned on, you should use at least one of those hashtags in every post that you create. That's what the algorithm likes to see. The other nice thing about creator mode is that if you feature a post, and I haven't done this in a while, this last featured post is, that's an event that I'm doing. I don't know, the last featured post is probably from a couple weeks ago. But if you're featuring a post at least once a week, that also helps if you have creator mode turned on. So creator mode, it's meant as an audience building feature. It does give you a little bit extra analytics stuff. So let me see if I can find it. There's a place here. Oh yeah. So here's your dashboard that you were asking about, Robin. So these are the analytics. So when I say I record my profile views and my search appearance view numbers once a week, this is where I go. And if you have creator mode turned on, I believe this is the case, that you still need to have creator mode turned on. Once you click on your post impressions, it gives you this nice little graph. So you can look at, you can see engagement too. I think it's a newer feature, which is nice. So you can have the past 7 days. You can change this, sorry. You can have the past 7 days, past 14 days. You can look over the past year and you can kind of see trends. So that is a nice feature of having creator mode turned on. Yeah, my client was like, I want to see this graph. They don't have creator mode turned on. Can't see it. The other thing to notice here is it'll show you the job titles of the people who are finding your profile, which is nice. Like I said, when you have Sales Navigator, when you have Premium, it'll tell you exactly who is looking at your profile rather than just their job titles. But this can tell you how well you're hitting, your audience, the target audience you're trying to hit. If you're looking to talk to HR directors, if you see that in here, then you're in good shape. What else do I need to share about my profile? The about section is a really important piece of real estate, although it's shoved down. I think when you have creator mode turned on, they move the featured piece up on your profile, and then they push the about section down a bit more. But you get, I think, 2,600 characters for the about section. So it's a pretty big chunk. You have a lot of space to write there. And a lot of people will use their about section almost as another place for their resume or another way of writing their resume. And sometimes they'll put it in third person. It really should be in first person. It should have some personality behind it. You really want to be telling your story in your about section. So if you haven't used all the space in your about section, you probably want to add to it. You can add in some hashtags that helps with SEO and people finding you when they're searching for you in the search box. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what, the other thing I wanted to show you. Do you know about the social selling index? People know about social selling index? Okay, so this is a feature of Sales Navigator, but it's available to everyone. Let me see, I need to pop this link into the chat. Let me stop sharing for a second. So the social selling index gives you kind of a comparison to use to see how you're doing relative to your industry. So this is the link. If you're logged into LinkedIn and you click on that link, it should show you your social selling index. So it's kind of nice to look at. One of the things that I just read recently, let me go back to sharing. This is my social selling index. You want to have this current selling index. The number I saw was 70. You want to get 70 as a target there. You know, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's great. I'm in the top 1% of my industry. That sounds awesome. But you have to consider, you know, how many people are in your industry, right? I'm a ghostwriter. There aren't that many of us probably bouncing around on LinkedIn. So that's something to consider. But it is nice to sort of, if you want to get a little deeper look at some analytics, checking this out. And like I said, I saw, you know, 70 is a really good point to be at for social selling index there. But it will show you how many people in your network are posting on LinkedIn. You know, it compares you to the people who are posting in your network, which is a nice information. Nice to know.
How does it know, where does it pull what network you're in?
Right. I think it looks at your connections and followers, like your audience. I think that's where they're getting those numbers from. I don't, you know, I've heard different stories about how accurate the social selling index is. I think that LinkedIn developed it probably to entice people to join Sales Navigator and to do premium. But, you know, I think it's nice. I like to watch it. I like to track it. I think it gives you some nice information. I wouldn't, you know, hang my hat on it as far as, you know, it depends on what you want to do with the data, but I find it to be an interesting thing to watch. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. So I will now stop sharing and start looking at your LinkedIn profiles and see what we're seeing there. If you have any specific questions, I'm always happy to answer those. It's always helpful, but I think it's good to get another set of eyes and get my first impression on what I'm looking at. So I'll start with Tara since hers is the first one that I'm seeing. Actually, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do it this way because then I won't miss anybody. So here's Tara's. So let's see. Fostering technology makes life better for people and the planet. I like that as a tagline. I might consider changing that font. Is this a font part of your brand, Tara?
It was something I liked on Canva, but it's not. Okay. I can change it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit hard to read when it's like, you know, cursive or whatever. Yeah. So I might consider changing that up a little bit. You might think about adding a little bit of color to the cover. Canva has some nice options on LinkedIn covers, you know, okay, as options on Canva. So you might check that out. But let's see, early stage tech startup advisor and coach. That's great. Co-founding partner. It's got your brands there. Yep, that looks good. Yeah, so you've got the words to the right, which is a good idea because your face here you can see is going to be on the left, and sometimes that can cover up words if you're not cognizant of that. The nice thing that I've noticed, and you do want to look at your profile on the app on the phone if you get a chance, because I think something like 60% of LinkedIn users use the app exclusively. So you want to see what it looks like. One thing that's nice is I noticed recently they used to have the photo in the middle on the phone, and now they've shoved it back to the left, so it looks actually pretty much the same now on the phone as on the computer. But the other thing to think about, and this looks good, your font sizes I think are good. Sometimes if it gets too small, you might want to expand it. But this is looking really good. I like the photo, very professional, looks great. That feels very on brand for you. Got your name here. One thing you could consider, so I have Emily Crookston Ghostwriter as my name. So you might consider, if you have a title that you really want people to associate with your name, it could be a good thing to add that right into your name section there. So you've got advisor, board member, thought partners, tech startups, innovators and trailblazers, co-founder, global advisory. Yeah, I think that looks good. You've got space. So if you wanted to, some people will have sort of a personal tagline that they add into their headline. So if you have something like that, comes to mind, if you think of a personal tagline, like I like Ghostwriter for Rebels, Renegades, and Mavericks, that's kind of my tagline. That might be something to consider adding to your headline. Just because it's a nice space to, that people are looking at this a lot, right? So it's nice to have more information if you have more to add. But I think this is a good start. I think, it's clear. A lot of times I'll look at a headline and I'll say, yeah, but I don't know what you do, because maybe they're leading with their headline and it's not obvious. So it looks really good. You've got creator mode turned on. So you've got your hashtags here. That looks good. Number of followers and connections there. This highlight section is interesting. This is what I see personally. I think if Robin looked at your profile, she'd see something different. So that's an interesting piece to think about. Featured posts, yeah, because you have creator mode turned on, I would think about featuring a post once a week. So it could be the post that does the best for the week. I'll typically put that in the featured section. Or if I have a post that seems to be rising pretty quickly, I might just post it in the feature section to kind of boost engagement on it.
Emily, sorry, I have a question about the feature.
Yes.
I guess is that something you need to actively do? Like, what is the feature?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. So if you go to a post on LinkedIn, here, I'll have to go back to my profile real quick. If you go to one of your own posts, let's see, activity, show all activity, posts. You see these 3 dots. So that's where it is, feature on top of profile.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yep, that's what you have to do. You can also go into your, if you do this little thing to edit your profile itself, you can add featured stuff. There's a place to add featured stuff. So you might have some presentations or something like that people will add there. I think, go back to Tara's, you had something in your featured section. Yeah, so you've got this little, you were on a podcast or something. Like, a lot of people will do that kind of thing. And that's great. That's a good thing to add to features. So I'll typically kind of rotate between like 5 things in my featured section. I don't think there's a good reason to have a ton of stuff in your featured section. But it is possible that when people land on your profile, they go straight to the featured section. That's how they want to find out about you quickly. So if you're thinking in that sense, then it makes sense to have a couple of posts as representative of the kinds of posts that you like to create, that kind of thing. Experience. So this is another place to check out. This looks good, Tara. Your experience, apparently, when in terms of SEO stuff, having these descriptions filled out is pretty important, and thinking about keywords that you want to add there. So I used to tell people you want to make sure that you have SEO friendly keywords in your headline. And I still think that's valid advice. Like for Tara, having advisor is probably a pretty good term. So the way to do a keyword search in LinkedIn is to use a hashtag. So if we do hashtag advisor, and then you don't hit return on your computer, you click on the one that's in the list, and it'll show you the number of people who are following this hashtag. Oh, only 1,037. So that's interesting. So, you know, you can, if, you know, you can play around with different terms. I'm sure consultant will be huge. 17,627. That's actually not as big as I thought. I thought it would be hundreds of thousands. So consultant might be a better starting out term for you than advisor. You might play with that. So the way to do it is to adjust the headline, like maybe switch out advisor for consultant, and then watch your search appearance numbers and see if they change. So change it for a week, look at the number, and if it doesn't change, then you can do whatever you want. You can go back if you want to. So like I said, apparently the headline or the little description under experience in terms of SEO matters more than your headline these days. So you may want to play around with search terms in here and see if that helps. So you've got startups there. That's probably really good for you. Investors, you know, that kind of thing. Advisory might be a good thing to have in there somewhere while it's there. So that's good. Yeah. But just something to consider there. But this is looking pretty good. Let me look at the about section. You use most of this real estate, which is good. You could add hashtags in at the bottom. So one thing you could do is just add hashtags here, hashtag investors, hashtag corporations. If these are good keywords for you, that's an easy thing to change, just because it helps with the search. You could also add a sort of call to action at the end of your about section. So, you know, if you have a lead magnet to share, or if you just want people to go to your website, or you can even just say, you know, DM me if you're in this place, you know, if you're a startup with first round funds, or, you know, whatever language you want to use. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific questions? This is looking really good.
No, I think that's very helpful and exceeded my expectations, and I learned some things I didn't know. So thank you, Emily.
Good. Yeah.
Tara, I think your LinkedIn profile looks great.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know what my co-founder said, Tara, she said, you have a very colorful personality, and this is like the most corporate dark photo. So she says she wants me to change it. But anyway, so I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah.
But now, so maybe this time, like bright, more, you know.
Yeah. Well, you could certainly add a bright background. I like that, because then when you're commenting on people's posts, it shows up, like there's a pop of color, right? So it's like tiny, but you can see the color. So some people have been doing that. You can do that in Canva very easily also. Yeah, so that's a thought. But I think it gives personality. Like, you're not looking straight into the camera, you're looking up a little bit. That's unique, you know, that's not corporate to me. So yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, and you know, the background, like I said, you might want to add a little bit of color to that too. That's another way to kind of stand out a little bit.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, of course. The other thing to point out about headlines, which I like to try to do, is the first 60 characters are what show up when you comment on someone's post. So if you make the first 60 characters a complete thought, that's kind of a nice thing, because then people see your face, they see your, you know, if they're new and they're like, oh, who's this commenting? You know, they can read like a little bit about you even right there in the comment.
Okay. Good.
Anything you can do to save people from clicking, you know, it's a good thing. But we do want them coming to the profile. So yeah. Yeah. Great. Let me take a look at Robin's.
It's going to be a completely different experience. I've never done anything on LinkedIn. So.
That's okay. That's why we're here. Ooh, I like this background. This is nice. Very clear. Baltic Designs. Plan, manage, consult, create. That's great. You might think about adding your website right to the cover. So the other thing I didn't point out with Tara, let me see if I've still got your page up. Yeah, so you could add in, there's a way in here to add your website, and it shows up right below here. Let me show you on mine. And you can do that by going to the little pencil guy right here and editing. So you see how the link is right here, right front and center. So that's just a link to my website. If you have a lead magnet, that's a good place to put it. But that's just another thing to give people easy access to your website. It's like, okay, I can't click here, and then, you know, it's like one extra click, but whatever. It's always good to see that link right there.
How do you edit to your profile up top?
Yeah, let me show you. Go to that pencil, and then it's all the way at the bottom. So website,
nice.
up here at the top of your profile.
Amazing.
And you can, you know, label it here. Yep. Exactly. Good question. Okay, back to Robin. Okay. Yes, so Robin, you could add that link as well, which is what triggered me to think about all that. I like this photo.
Interesting, because I have it also opened on my phone, and the way that it lays out here shows under my name, plan, manage, consult, create, like kind of with the title, and on mobile, it's a second line.
Yeah, right. So LinkedIn can get a little wonky when you're centering things in your cover. So it's always best if you can.
No, I'm talking about under, like in the under my name where it says bespoke event planner and
oh, sorry. Okay, so tell me again. That part is
so plan, manage, consult, create. It shows on on that line there. On mobile, it's a separate line.
Below. Okay, interesting.
So it's interesting. I was like, wait,
yeah. How does the top look? How does your photo look with the cover?
Fine. It comes like right. It curves perfectly under the B in Baltic.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. Yeah, so good. I'm glad you looked at it on mobile. Yeah, that is interesting. I had a client who was trying to get her headline to work, and she said there's all this extra space, and now I'm wondering if she was looking at it on the phone. Yeah,
it just something popped up.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's always curious to see that stuff. So that's good. Let's see. Bespoke event planner and strategist, plan, manage, consult, create. Yeah, so this part to me makes more sense with the company title. So I would add that in there. You could say founder or CEO of Baltic Designs. It's kind of obvious from your name, but it's helpful to say that. And then you can have plan, manage, consult, create after. That's what I would do there. I like bespoke event planner and strategist. That's very clear, tells people what you do. So that's great. You don't have creator mode turned on. You may want to, just in terms of if you're trying to grow your audience, if you're interested in doing that. I imagine that, and then your follower number will show up here. That's the other piece of that. And then of course you want the hashtags, and you can start using those hashtags.
I made a note for that.
Good. Let's see, about section. Yeah, so your about section is in third person, so I would rewrite it to be in first person.
You and Erin can go to bat on that.
Okay, interesting. I have to ask her about that. Yeah, curious. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean, what I would say about the about section is maybe you want to add in some bullet points. I don't see your services exactly listed here. They may be in there, but it's sometimes helpful to have bullets with services, so my eye can go directly to what you do, what you can do for me. That could be helpful. You could also have a call to action here if you wanted to. If you have a lead magnet you want to share, or just come to my website for such and such, or, you know, I especially love to work with people doing these things, like talk about your ideal client a little bit. I would see that as being interesting. Yeah, you know, the first person versus third person. I think people want to hear more about your personal story on LinkedIn, so that's why I recommend that. But if it's interesting that Erin has a different opinion about that.
I don't know what's right or wrong.
Well, you know, it probably depends. Yeah. So what I always say about this is I always default to, well, it depends on what your audience wants. You know, you could go looking at your, you know, this person is an ideal client for me. Let me look at what she does on her LinkedIn. You know, let me see what my ideal audience likes to see. That kind of thing. If your clients tend to be very corporate, then probably third person makes sense. All right, experience. Yep. So you could add in the, oh, you've got a little description here. Sorry. Okay, that's great. Again, the same points that I said to Tara about the keywords, you might want to be adding those in there. Oh, and the other thing I didn't look at on your page, Tara, are recommendations. Adding some recommendations is a good thing. That's another place where people's eyes go, like they scroll down and they look at recommendations. So getting, at least 5 or 6 recommendations is a good move, especially if you have older recommendations. Trying to get some new ones is a good idea. It's a nice little place to have testimonials. I find it really easy to get recommendations on LinkedIn as opposed to getting testimonials from clients, where it's like, will you write a testimonial? Or here, I wrote this testimonial for you. Will you sign off on it? But LinkedIn is really nice. It lets you choose, like, oh, I worked for them, or oh, I was a client of theirs, like, that kind of thing. It's pretty nice, and it gives you some nice prompts for just writing the thing. I think it's easy for people.
So yeah, I've never posted, so you don't see a lot of things.
Oh, you have never posted. Oh, interesting. There's activity here.
I don't know.
All you commenting on their stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Right.
This vicious cycle in terms of forget just like having content. That's just like one bucket. And then there's this vicious cycle of like, I don't feel my LinkedIn is good. So why would I post and draw attention to my LinkedIn? And well, you can't get more stuff. It's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is this. So LinkedIn really, the algorithm really favors engagement. So there are plenty of people who only engage on LinkedIn. They never post their own stuff, but they're very active. So if you can make it work to spend 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes 3 days a week commenting on other people's things, it really is helpful. Like, people will start to see you. You'll see those search appearance numbers, profile views going up, regardless of whether you're posting your own stuff. And you could do that. Yeah, sorry. No, that's okay. I was going to say, you could do that for months and months before you decide to post anything yourself. And that could be helpful.
That's why I find it interesting that when I look at this social settings index, that my numbers are as high as, I mean, I don't think they're not great in comparison to what you're seeing, but like my top is 27%, 38%, and 45 out of 100. So like, that's why I was like, I don't understand.
Right. Yeah, it must be something about the way you're commenting on people's stuff, and that's great. I always tell people that's a really good place to start with engagement. Start engaging in other people's conversations that are happening, because you could catch the eye of somebody who gets hundreds of comments on their posts, and so I'm always looking for those people who are really active on LinkedIn. Those are good people to comment on, regardless of whether it's in your industry or whether, the conversation itself is one you want to be having, right? But if there are a lot of people there who you think could be in your audience or could help you in some way, it's a good place to go. So that's where I would recommend starting. And then, the more you engage, the more you can feel confident starting to create your own stuff. And
like, I have tons of stuff. Like, I've done every campaign of the Upside. I was featured in one of Erin's articles. I was featured in some other blog or something, but like, I don't know, I just can't pull the trigger.
Yeah, I know. It is a challenge. Yeah. Do you feel like it's because of your profile? You feel like your profile isn't complete, or what do you think?
I don't know. I also like struggle with the whole, like, what to do in the experience section. In terms of like whether I should single out a long-term project, even though it was under my company.
Right.
And then everyone's like, no, because then it's confusing. You were working 2 places at one time. Like,
I see.
All this like mixed feedback. And so I was just like, I don't know who to listen to. So like, I'm just not.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, what I always tell people is, think of it as an experiment. Nothing is like do or die. It's not like you can't change anything. So if you said, okay, this week I'm going to play around with this thing. I'm going to change up my experience this way and see what happens. I think that's a good way to get your feet wet. I know it takes it takes some confidence to do that, and it takes time. And if you're not really loving social media in general, it's hard to, it's not easy to do. But I always think of LinkedIn again as a networking platform. So, you know, if I am gonna pull up my pants and go to a networking event, then I can make it happen on LinkedIn as well. So that's what I would say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Let me know if you have any other questions. Let me go to Anat. All right. Oh, I'm not sharing it. There we go. Okay, Anat. Cool. I like this cover. TAG marketing, very clear. You might want to look at it on mobile. Your head may be covering up the marketing part. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. But just consider. But I like this. I like the background. I like this black and white overlaid with color. I think that's kind of a cool effect. So that looks good. I like your picture. The picture looks fine. And you've got the brand color matching, which is great. Yeah, so again, like I said with Tara, if you have a sort of title that you like to use with that you want associated with your name, you could add that in. Integrated marketing and US market entry for small to mid-sized companies, founder TAG marketing, Etsy, the Gap. Okay, cool. So I personally would recommend switching putting this out first, founder TAG marketing, rather than starting with kind of a string, you know, like a little personal tagline kind of. Just so that, again, so people start associating your name with founder of TAG marketing. Yeah, that's all I would say. Like, it's good to have a title for yourself, even if it's made up, you know, or whatever. So yeah, so if you have a different title from founder that you like to use when you're talking to people, that's something to consider as well. So you've got your hashtags here. It looks like you've got a double hashtag in marketing. You might want to check that out. That might mess a little bit with the algorithm. It's probably just a typo in your within your profile. You've got there's one with a link right out front.
That's just edited now.
Oh, good. Good work. Nice. Followers. So one thing is increasing your number of followers will certainly help with your reach. So you might want to set a goal for yourself, you know, whatever's reasonable. Like if you can connect with 5 to 10 people every time you're on LinkedIn, do the math, figure out how many you want to get to by the end of the month or something.
So every connection also increases your followers?
So yes, a connection is also a follower, I believe. I believe that's right.
Okay, I'm not like posting a ton, so I'm
that's okay. Sure.
I hope so. I hope to post more, but
yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with building an audience before you're posting. That's a really good question. Or before you're posting as much as you'd like to be. Again, the engagement piece is really good, and it's a networking platform. So think of yourself as doing some networking. You might not be speaking at a networking event, but you're meeting people and you're, you know, connecting with them. So
benefit not to make tag marketing services with the icon, or is that just more an aesthetic thing?
That's more of an aesthetic thing. Yeah. So it looks like she doesn't have a company page set up, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's what you see when you don't have the page set up. So if you want your logo there, then you need to set up the company page. But again, if you're not using the company page, you know, beyond that, there's not that much of an advantage to having a company page if you're not using it. If you want to make a play for that, if you want to use it, if you have like some employees on LinkedIn who can help drive traffic to a company page, then it makes sense. But yeah, it's mostly aesthetic. Great. So we've got creator mode turned on. You can see her followers. You can see follow is the default. If I wanted to connect with her, I'd go here and connect. Very easy. That's what I would do. Featured section, you could add some of your posts to your featured section. That's a good idea. Make sure you're using these hashtags in your posts.
Okay.
Yeah, that will help with the algorithm. All right, our about section looks pretty good. You could, you've got more real estate. You could add to this if you wanted to. I like that you separate your areas of expertise there. That's nice. You could also add in a list of your services or give people an idea of how they can work with you. it might be nice to, you say, I love supporting and helping business be agile, solve problems, and find solutions that often require outside the box thinking. That's really nice. I like that particular line. If you have an idea of, and I know that this is challenging, I'm not that great at it myself, but if you have a more specific idea of who you love to work with and you have a good statement, you can talk about that. I think that would help people. You know, what you're thinking about doing with your about section is telling a little bit of your story, talking about sort of your unique take on the industry. What you believe. Like Tara started out with, my mission is to blah, blah, blah. I always like to see that at the beginning, like my sort of a belief, or, you know, I call them die in a ditch beliefs. It's like beliefs that you would stand on a hill and die for. Not really, but, you know, something, a strong belief that you have that's unique to you, a value proposition, something like that. And then also helping people sort out, you know, is this the kind of person I could work with or should work with? So having like those elements.
My business is very, very new. So I'm definitely still thinking about any feedback would be like greatly appreciated. So I thank you for saying that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I think you have a really good start. It looks really good. I would just add in some little more specifics just to make it more unique to you. We talked about the company page. You'll probably, you've got a good description here. You might consider doing a little hashtag research and seeing, you've got e-commerce. I'm sure that that's a good hashtag for you. Marketing, business growth, those sorts of things. Yeah. So I think this probably looks pretty good. And you've got reach out here.
Add the hashtag symbol there, or just keep those words there?
I would just keep the words there under here. I think it's nice to add some hashtags words in your about section.
Understood.
Yep. But I think it's okay down here just to have the words themselves. It's unclear to me how exactly the bots find the keywords, because it can't be just searching for hashtags. It has to be looking through the text itself. So let's see. Oh, you've got some recommendations here. They're pretty recent. That's great. You've got 13. That's awesome. That looks really good. I think especially for a newer business, it's great to have some recommendations, even if, you know, they're not probably pertinent to exactly what you've been doing last several months or something. But it gives people an impression that you're a quality person to work with, even if it's from past jobs or whatever. I think recommendations like that are great. Yeah, I think this looks really good, Anat. Any specific questions?
No, thank you.
Good.
I'm hungry for any feedback.
Good. Yeah, I see you've got premium turned on. Are you liking it? Is it working for you?
You know, really the only option is like you can see who viewed your profile.
Right.
Other than that, I'm not sure exactly what I'm
I've wrestled with turning it on, because I feel like if I'm going to spend that kind of money on it, I want to make sure that I have a plan for using it. And I know that there's a lot of power behind searching for your ideal clients and doing a lot of intel work on what they're doing and what you might be able to write about content wise to draw them in, that kind of thing. So I think it could be useful, but I think and it's helpful to see who's looking at your profile for sure, but I'm not sure what to do with that information myself.
Yeah. An upside, I don't remember what it was, but there was something that I was at that someone talked about, maybe it was Erin, like how you can use, so like
cool,
you can respond to someone that you also piques interest. Like, I saw you,
yes,
blah, blah,
good point.
Would love to like do that. Obviously, clearly, I'm not one that have done that, but I've heard people talk about it, and it will be interesting. I know we only have a few minutes, but I know that Nate is doing a LinkedIn expert session today also, but it is going to be recorded, so it'll be interesting to hear what he says.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, Nate's doing that at, I think it's 1 o'clock today. Or maybe 12? 12, maybe it's 12.
It's at 12 because I just got a notification.
There you go, right after this. Yeah, I probably got it too. That could be really useful, but good point. Yeah, there's definitely resources within the Upside to look at that stuff. I know
if you're going to pay for it and you're not doing anything with it, why, like, what?
Yeah, but using it like you were saying, oh, this person is looking at my profile, so I'm going to go and comment on their posts on LinkedIn. That's a really smart strategy,
or
right?
Send them a message like, I saw you stop by. I see that we have blah blah in common.
Yes,
or it gives an opening, so it's not a cold outreach if you wanted to connect with that person.
Yes, great point. Yep.
Just my non-expert.
No, that's really good. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, let's go to where is it? Oh, is that it? You didn't share yours, Jen? That's perfectly fine if you don't want to. No, it's okay.
Just saying something.
Awesome. While you're doing that, I'll just share real quick that if you want to take this deeper, if you want me to do a full audit of your LinkedIn page, it's called the LinkedIn Roadmap, and it's $500. I will give you recommendations for headlines. I will, basically do what I did today, only more in depth. And then we have a 30-minute conversation to answer any questions, talk through any ideas that you have. So if that's of interest, that is an option. I also have a package which is 3 months. We create the strategy and LinkedIn content for you as well over the course of 3 months. And that's $5,000 for the package. We do a monthly strategy session with you for 30 minutes, and then we create the content from there as well as the strategy. So if you want more info about that, you know where to find me. You can always shoot me an email. Hi, Jen. Let's see. This looks good. Be an ally. Okay.
Not related to my company at all. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I have work to do.
Yes. Good. Glad you recognize that. No worries. Yes. So we want to know what the company is all about. We want at least, you could add your website up here for sure. But yeah, talking about what you do as part of your work should certainly be a big focus here. Helping make the web work for people. Okay, that's cool. Want to know more specifics about that for sure. How do you do it? What would be your job title if you were going to give yourself one? Something like that should be in there if you're a consultant, or I don't know if you create websites for people, right? That's where my mind is going to when I see this. So yeah, more specifics. You've got lots of space to add in there. So certainly would work on the headline a bit. And like I said, the best thing to do is to rewrite the headline, leave it for a week, and watch those search appearance numbers, see how things are going, watch profile views, and sort of adjust from there. Experiment. That's always my thing. You really want to get to over 500 connections, then you get 500 plus. So I would certainly make that a top priority, at least to get over 500 connections, like within the next month or so. Can be done, doable. Yeah, you could turn on creator mode as well, and then following would be the default, and you could build your audience. That's the best thing about creator mode. I'm passionate about usable design. Cool, usable design. Got it. Well-planned communities and the ability of technology in all mediums to inform and unite users. Experience with web design and development. Okay, so I wasn't so far off with my guess about what you do.
Yeah, I just started my company in June. So I'm doing web and IT support for small businesses and teams. So yeah, I know cool. I need to, it's kind of like I'm not focused on a specific industry, so it's a little difficult to target that. I'm having a hard time finding some of the words, the keywords to get to some of that. And I do a lot of web, but it's also like IT strategy for businesses beyond just like the web side of things, because there's a lot of other pieces to the technology tools that people need for small businesses.
Awesome. Yeah. So everything you just said, rewatch the recording and put that into your headline. Like you're getting there, like you're definitely there. So play around with that for sure. Cool. And let's see, Chief Boss Lady.
Yeah. So is that, I feel like my brand I'm sort of going for intentionally glib. So is that weird? Do you think that's off-putting to people, or?
I really like it. I think I would use it. I don't know that I would start my headline with that, just because it's not very descriptive. It doesn't tell me what you do. I want to see your name and, something that tells me exactly what you do, but I like it. You could say Chief Boss Lady of Merit Digital. That certainly could be part of the headline. I would certainly, that could be the second, part of the headline maybe, or something like that. I like this: leadership, tech support, communication, project management. These are great SEO terms to have in here. So that's really good. I would start tracking some metrics if you're not already doing that on a weekly basis, and just start playing around. Like, there's really no reason to hold back on LinkedIn. That's what I love about it. When you create a resume for yourself, it's like, or a bio even sometimes for your website, your about section, it's like, this can't change for a while. Well, for you, it probably could, because you do that kind of stuff. But I send my stuff I work with Elisa. I send my stuff to Elisa, and then I'm like, done, for a couple of years, unless I want to spend another, $3,000 to have my website updated. But that's what I like about LinkedIn and social media in general, is that it's short-lived. Like, it's a good place to play around with ideas and concepts and see what sticks. That's what I would recommend there. Yeah. It's great. You're off to a good start. Have you been on LinkedIn since June? Have you been on LinkedIn a while, or?
No, I've been on LinkedIn for years.
Yeah.
Because, I also have social media background. It's not what I'm choosing to focus on with my business, but I've been on there for a long time, which is part of why helping make the web work for people and some of the other stuff in there is much more related to past positions and actually personal concerns and desires, which is how I got this company. So that's kind of legacy stuff that it did not seem important to change initially, but obviously it is.
Got you. Yeah. Well, it is an interesting, I feel like you are in a position where maybe using social media pushes against your brand in some ways, and you may or maybe there's an intentional, maybe you're trying to teach intentional use.
That is a good point. I am trying to I'm not trying to be a marketing company, which there's plenty of other folks here who are doing that, and good on you. Yeah. It's just that I'm filling this sort of more technical side of the support.
Right. Very good.
I know there's another session. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, it's noon. So if you have to hop, if you want to go to Nate's session, that's awesome. I support that. I have a minute or two if you want to hang out, and then I have to actually jump to a different call as well. But it's great to see you all, and I'll send the recording. Thank you. Yes. Bye, Tara. Thank you all. Jen, the other thing I would say is recommendations. You might want to.
Yeah, I made a note for trying to find somebody for that. 2 questions very quickly. What is the Upside thing?
Yeah, we're part of this group called the Upside. They enroll members on a quarterly basis. I just joined in October. And it's really a great organization, a lot of consultants. It's a really great networking group started by a woman named Erin Helper.
If you search, there's an open house tomorrow to learn more about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
let me see if I can find the link quickly.
I think I got an email this morning.
Yeah.
Or if you're on LinkedIn and you search Erin Helper, she posted about it this morning.
That's true.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Emily.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Robin. Appreciate it. If you have more questions, feel free to email me. I'm always happy to.
Amazing.
And I'll send you the replay really soon.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had one other question, but it's gone right out of my head. But I appreciate this. Thank you. No, I do know what it was. I'll just send you a message in LinkedIn. Okay, it's kind of a longer question. Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Love it. Great to meet you. Bye.
You too. Bye.